Right, so question 17, we want to find the surface area of the cylinder. This is also just like an application of a formula. It's one that might be a little bit tricky to kind of figure out if you don't know it. So you could always just like look it up, right? So the surface area of a cylinder, and again, as I've kind of mentioned before, when you're trying to memorize something or learn something, very helpful to write it out in words. So the surface area of a cylinder is going to be 2 pi times the radius squared plus 2 pi radius times the height. Right, so obviously we can kind of like simplify this into like a 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h, which is probably how you see this written out. So kind of the idea here is that it's also composed of two different types of formulas. We would call this the base area, and we'd call this the lateral area. So it's basically this base area plus this lateral area. So for me, like I'm never a fan of like memorizing stuff that I can kind of figure out. So here's the idea behind like a cylinder, right? So I have like a cylinder, something like this. So to find the area of these bases, right? So this here and kind of this base right there, the thing to notice is that this base area is just two circles. So I have one there, one there. And if I want to find the area of a circle, well, it's pi r squared. So that's where this is coming from, 2 pi r squared. If I want to find the lateral area, kind of like the area around, like this kind of like shape right here, the idea is that, well, I have this circle here, right? The length of the circle on the outside of the circle, well, that's the circumference. If I were to unpeel the cylinder, well, then we get a rectangle, which we know has an area of length times width or base times height. Well, since the base was a circumference, which is 2 pi r times the height, well, that's where that area comes from. Once you know the formula, well, it's just the application of it. All right, so we would say that if I kind of just pull my formula back here so I don't rewrite it. All right, so we know that the radius is 8 centimeters. So we'd have our surface area is 2 pi times 8 squared plus 2 pi times 8. Our height is going to be this 20. And again, I'm going to leave everything in terms of pi because that's going to be an exact answer. So we're going to get 2 pi times 8 squared, which is 64. So that's going to be 128 plus 2 times 8 times 20, right? That's going to be 16 times 20, which is 320. So I have another 320 pi. So I have 128 plus 320. That's going to be 488 pies. And the units are centimeters squared because we're working with an area.